Hello and welcome to Exploited Crimes and Technology. My name is Opal Singleton and we come to you every Saturday afternoon at 3 o'clock right here on AM 590, The Answer. Well, this show is brought to you by Million Kids. And Million Kids is a relatively small nonprofit that operates here in the Inland Empire. I'm getting ready to change some bosses over at the Sheriff Department where I've reported into the Human Trafficking Task Force there for right at 10 years now. Hard to believe that that has gone on so long. And the last 8 of it, I have reported to Sergeant John Sawyer, and he's just been a real hero in my eyes. He has built the task force. He's done a tremendous job there of bringing in people to be experts in the business. And that task force is just absolutely one of the very best. Riverside County is just really, really fortunate to have such a fine human trafficking task force. You may not really appreciate all that I'm saying here and what a task force does, but they combat the crime of human trafficking, and that is just one of the hardest crimes in the world that you can deal with. There are so many things that go on, and the laws really aren't working in your favor. I often talk about what human trafficking is on other shows. We're not going to cover that so much today. In fact, this show, when we get around to it, is all going to be about where do naked photos go when you hit send. But I want to just talk about the task force and the changes it's undergoing. We've doubled the size of the task force, and I say hats off to Sheriff Chad Bianco. He's doing an amazing job, and Mike Hestra and the district attorney. Even in the COVID environment, even with budget cuts, even with things pulled back, they find the way to deal with child sex crimes. And these crimes are just difficult. And that often includes what we think of as minor sex trafficking, or meaning the sex trafficking of people under the age of 18. And those cases are just so difficult to work with because they're not obvious. And many times the kids get involved and they fall in love, or they've sent a naked photo and they're being blackmailed, or they think that they're in love with somebody they've never met, and they go off on a fantasy relationship and hook up with them. And the next thing you know, they're being turned out into forced prostitution or being sold into a gang or something like that. And so to put these cases together is very, very difficult, because oftentimes the kid is in love yet with their perpetrator without realizing and coming to the senses of just how serious that perpetrator is. A lot of times they're just kind of drugged, or they don't know what to do. They're lost and like that. And so they continue on down a path. And I take calls. That's the work of Million Kids. We take calls from parents that have kids like that. I've taken a couple this week that were tough. And, especially in this COVID thing where kids are spending a lot of time online, these are tough days, okay? Because a parent or a grandparent is just heartbroken to watch a child make bad choices and to go down the wrong path. And it is so difficult because, there's just so much sex in our society anymore. Not necessarily healthy sex. I think that it's almost a dinosaur to see the concept of healthy sexual relationships going on between all that is taking place out there. Sex is reduced to a weapon. It's reduced to a commodity that's to be traded. I talked with kids, some young girls, about 6 months ago. This is why I want to talk about where do naked photos go when you hit send. And I was asking, why would you send that naked photo? And they said, well, he won't go out with me if I don't. And you say to yourself, what kind of relationship is a 13-year-old girl going to have if she has to send a photo of her naked body before she goes on a date? But so many teenagers believe that because it's the norm today. Don't be a prude. Don't be like your parents. Don't be stupid, Just everybody's doing it. And it does seem like everybody's doing it. A couple of weeks ago, I did a radio show on the movie Cuties. And all that they are doing in those movies for 11-year-old girls who have yet to go through puberty. They don't have a healthy identity. I believe sincerely that an intimate relationship between two people who respect and are considerate of each other, who are in a committed relationship, that are building that connection between each other, that there is nothing more wonderful and more valuable for that. I've often talked to people who buy sex, and you're like, why are you buying sex? And what they're really seeking is intimacy. What they're really seeking is approval. What they're really seeking is that connection to another person. I will often say to people, sex is the one bodily function that's connected to the soul. And when it goes right, it is very right and probably the finest thing on earth. But when it goes wrong, it affects the very core of your being. It changes who you are. It changes how you feel about yourself. It changes your perception of your own self-worth. And I'm going to tell you that is no different whether you're 65 years old or 35 years old or 15 years old or 9. That when you get into something that is degrading, that doesn't have values, that doesn't have that kind of moral foundation, that your soul will pay a price and your self-image will pay a price. And so I very much value our task force. I am going to miss Sergeant Sawyer. He's being transferred. He's moving on. That happens in these sheriff departments. But I am very, very proud to have worked with him and to see the team of people that he has built and the number of kids that team, not just Sergeant Sawyer, but everybody, including myself in that team, all the interventions that have been done over the last 8 years, getting up in the middle of the night because there's a teenager missing that might be being forced into prostitution, and you might be able to grab her back or him back from the brink of that disaster. And I see all of those investigators. There's a team out in the desert that's doing it for our cat. Sheriff Bianco's doubled the size of our team out in the desert. I also want to give a shout out to Sergeant O'Brien over in San Bernardino. I haven't spent a lot of time with him, but he's very dedicated, very good. And their team, the Rancho Cucamonga Police Department, the Fontana Police Department, the Victorville Police Department, people who are caring and wanting to do something about keeping our kids safe from predators. And quite frankly, many times it involves keeping our kids from self-destructing. When you start to put together hormones with a desire to be loved and twerking and dry humping and social media, it is bound to be a disaster somewhere along the line. And some child is going to pay that price. Some teenager is going to find themselves in a place where they wish they had had a different behavior. We've all had those coulda, woulda, shouldas in our life. By the way, I'm no different, We all wish we'd done something differently, that we had thought ahead, that we had been a little smarter, that we had decided not to take such a chance, to throw caution to the wind. And yet when it gets in a relationship, especially a sexual relationship, that might not be a relationship at all. You see, the danger of this is that we are putting very hormonal children who do not have adult reasoning, but certainly have adult sex drives. And we are connecting them on the World Wide Web where they can reach millions of people and millions of people can reach them. And we all have something in common. We all want to be recognized. We all want to be loved. We all want somebody to think we're hot. We all want to be forgiven. And we all want to be popular and we all want to be included. And when you add all that together with technology and kids and their creativity and their seclusion, then you know that it all is different. So my name is Opal Singleton. This show is brought to you by Million Kids. I so much appreciate my relationship with AM 590. They're great partners. They're family people. They care about you, and they're the best in the business, and I'm proud to be connected to them. We're coming up against that break, folks, so stay with us. This is Opal, and I'll be right back.
This message is all about Million Kids, the organization that helps locate missing kids throughout Southern California and educates to keep kids safe from predators. Million Kids educates school administrators, teachers, parents, and teenagers how predators identify a potential victim and the methods they use to recruit innocent kids. BMW of Riverside is a proud supporter of Million Kids. Visit BMW of Riverside at the Adams Street exit off the 91 freeway or click bmwofriverside.com.
Hello, this is Opal Singleton of Exploited Crimes and Technology. Hey, there are many good restaurants in the Inland Empire, but really great restaurants are hard to find. Let me tell you about the Toasted Barrel in Corona. It's a trendy, upscale steakhouse with great pasta and seafood. It's a fantastic choice for birthdays and anniversaries or just that special night out with your loved one and friends. Inland Empire magazine has awarded them Best Restaurant and Brunch for the past 3 years. The owners, Ed and Shirley, are friendly and attentive to your needs. If you're a prime rib connoisseur, this place is for you. Go ahead and try it out. The Toasted Barrel, located at 1300 El Sobrante Road in Corona. Or Google them at Toasted Barrel to make reservations. I guarantee you're going to love it. Be sure and tell Ed and Shirley that Opal sent you. It will be a night you'll never forget.
Societal Shift, A World Without Borders and a Home Without Walls. This is the most important book you will read this year, especially if you have children or grandchildren. We are living at the most important time in all of history. In 2020, the entire world will be connected by internet, more than 6 billion people coming together. Technology will provide many great advantages for our kids, but a world without borders for our kids is also a world without borders for pimps, predators, pedophiles, cartels, and organized crime. It is a home without walls because 87% of the kids sleep with their phone. It is the greatest societal experiment of all time. Our kids are technology geniuses, and their parents are technophobic. Some are techno-impotent. New apps come with no warnings on how a predator will use them against our kids. Advancing technologies like encrypted messaging, vaporware, artificial intelligence, cryptocurrency, and the dark net will challenge law enforcement, teachers, and parents to keep kids safe. Recent research states that 9,000 kids a day are being blackmailed with a naked photo, and 58% will meet their predator. It is indeed a societal shift, and one in which most parents are unprepared. If you are a parent or grandparent, teacher, counselor, or social worker, please take time to read Societal Shift. Only $18.99 plus $6 shipping. Order today at millionkids.org. That's millionkids, millionkids.org. It'll be the greatest gift you can give your family and yourself. Order Societal Shift today. Million Kids takes checks and credit cards. Opal Singleton, the author, will personally sign the book and send it to you. Again, go to millionkids.org and order Societal Shift today. Join Million Kids. Keep our kids safe from predators.
AM 590, The Answer.
Hello and welcome back to Exploited Crimes and Technology. This is Opal Singleton and I'm the host of your show. By the way, I really appreciate each and every one of you that write to me. You can do that at Opal, OPAL, at millionkids.org. I especially like the ones that write to me and make a donation. That helps a lot. I'll tell you what, who would have believed on March 12th when I came back from my last presentation that it would be the last presentation I would make in 2020. So far, I've only made Zoom presentations. I'm getting pretty good at them, getting a lot of videos made, but I'll tell you what, I look better on radio, so that's why I do it anyway. So I want to talk about where do naked photos go when you hit send. That is really the heart and soul of the documentary we're making because it is a national and a global phenomena. It really is an interesting thing when you think about it. I've often said, I just can't even imagine two teenagers, let's say 13, 14 years old, they arrive at the mall. Oh, God, you remember when you could go to the mall? I guess they're reopening, praise God. Anyway, I feel bad for those people. But imagine this scenario, two 14-year-old kids meeting at the mall, a girl and a guy, and they've never met, and they hit it off, and they're starting to talk, and 45 minutes later, the guy says, hey, let's go in the bathroom, and we'll strip naked, and I'll take your picture, and you can take mine, and we'll exchange them. You would never do that. It is like stupid, okay? We have inhibitions. But what has happened is technology is erasing our inhibitions. I think about Anthony Weiner. He did that not once, but twice. Now, this is supposedly an intelligent person who's accomplished, right? I'm not going to take sides. I have my own opinion, but I'll keep them to myself. But he did it twice, taking pictures of his private parts and sending them off on the internet. Where does he think naked photos go when you hit send? Do you think they just go off and they're all private? I often say that to kids. And in fact, if you're a parent or a grandparent, ask your kids, who owns the internet? Nobody. If nobody owns it, is it private? There is nothing less private in the entire world. Did you know that China has twice as many users as America? And there are all kinds of people out there that can intercept your email, your text, your Snapchat, all of these apps out there. You are on the World Wide Web. It is not called the US Web. It is called the World Wide Web. And so I want to talk about why kids are sending naked photos. I've struggled with this from the beginning. And to me, of course, it seems absolutely obvious. Why on earth would you take that naked photo and send it or even hand it to someone? Once you have a sexual photo and you've sent that on the internet, you have given away the key to your freedom. And I don't care if you're 15 or 55 out there. You think that adults are exempt from this? Adults send naked photos. Adults meet on dating sites. They don't know those people from Adam. And they get one of those same fantasy relationships. And the next thing you know, they think that they really got some wonderful hot deal going, whether you're a guy or a girl, and you shoot that baby off. The minute you do that, you have compromised, whether they're intercepted by strangers or you don't know who that person is. Do you know there was an entire gang out of Fresno called the Bulldog Gang? And the Bulldog Gang were guys that were gangs that were cartels. They were from 19 to 52 years old, if my memory serves me right. And they would go on adult dating sites, Match and Zoosk and Meet Me and Plenty of Fish. Yeah, they even got on eHarmony, by the way. And by the way, don't ever get on that widow and widower thing. As many of you know, I've been a widow now for 3 years. I'm getting married before long and really excited about that. I have my life really having joy in it again. And I'm very, very grateful for that. But during that 3-year period, I went on some of those dating sites. And I'm going to tell you, they're scary. The first problem with them is the same problem your child's going to have when they get in a relationship online, is we all want what we want. And those people on that other line, they can pretend to be absolutely anybody. I saw one of those people that was on that dating site one time, and I thought to myself, I don't know where you got that photo, but it isn't anybody in your family, okay? Only way I recognized him was the dog, the dog he had in his photo. People on the internet, you get a fantasy relationship. You start to believe that they are something different than they are. And the next thing you know, you're starting to do behavior that is entirely risky. I see marriages break up because either a husband or the wife get online in a video game chat room or one of these dating sites while the other one's off to work, and they get one of these fantasies going. Well, think about what is happening there. What you have at home is probably no different than what you have on the other end of the line. It's just that when you're talking to someone on the other end, they don't have responsibilities. They don't have kids to feed. They don't have car repairs to make. They don't have problems with acne because they can change the way they look or put up somebody else's picture. And all the time you're fantasizing about that deal in there and you're criticizing, let's say, your wife or husband. He never pays the bills. He never says anything nice to me. He just doesn't turn me on anymore, because you're lost in a fantasy on the other end with someone you have never met. As long as you're competing with someone that is not a real life human or a real life human that you can get the facts about, you're not going to have a level playing field. You think about this. This guy's playing a video game. He's in love. He does this 10 hours a day with this girl, and the wife is at home and he's saying to herself, I don't really love her anymore. She's not sexy anymore. She doesn't talk to me. Well, guess what? The girl on the other end probably is in the same boat. You all have to pay bills. The dog gets sick. The baby gets sick. You gotta take out the trash. You gotta do the laundry. The toilet overflows every now and then, and you gotta deal with the real thing. Real love isn't about fantasy. Real love is looking at each other and knowing each other's faults and loving them anyway. But what happens with our kids is they get involved in a relationship online, and nobody is talking to them about what's an empowering relationship and what's an exploitive relationship. And they start talking to these guys, and they want what they want, and they are not able to see that that guy on the other end is liable to be a gang member that is going to force you into prostitution, or it's going to be some 56-year-old creepo, who wants your 14-year-old hot body all the time. He's telling you how wonderful you are, and you're thinking he's 19 and he's a rock star. That is the danger of social media, is you make up what you want. And so I want to really go into why kids are sending these naked photos and what is going on in there. There's some short-term consequences. Number one, if you're under 18 years of age and you take your personal picture without clothes on or in a sex act, you just made child pornography. If you send that off to your girlfriend or your boyfriend, you just distributed it. And if you're collecting a bunch of them, you're in possession of it. And that is called, it's illegal. And that is the first problem, the short-term consequences of sending a naked photo if you're under the age of 18. What's even scarier is once it's left your little computer, your little device, you have given up all control. And I share with kids, if you're going to send that naked photo, I want you to imagine that photo not just going to your boyfriend or girlfriend, but going around the world. I know of a case like that where she shared it and then they broke up. And literally in 2 days, she had an offer from New York and one from London, where it had gone into a porn site and gone around the world. And these guys were contacting her directly. There's no way to get those photos back once they go out there. And on top of it, they are not going to do what you want to do. Even if you don't end up being blackmailed, sex is the only bodily function connected to the soul, and it will change your belief in yourself. It will give you fear. It will give you disgrace. It'll give you humiliation, and it will give you a lack of self-worth. It will change you just at the time that you're trying to be the best person you can be as you grow from teenage to adulthood. My name is Opal Singleton, and it is Exploited Crimes and Technology. Be right back. Hello, this is Opal Singleton of Exploited Crimes and Technology. I want to tell you about a book I wrote called Seduced: The Grooming of America's Teenagers. It's all about how predators access, groom, recruit, and exploit our young people using social media, online gaming, video chat rooms. Technology is changing at the speed of light, and we have to understand how to keep our kids safe from predators. So you can get this book by going to www.millionkids.org. It's $16. I'll sign it and I'll ship it to you personally. We hope that you will order this book, educate yourself about how to keep our kids safe in this day of changing technology. Join us each Saturday for our radio show at Exploited Crimes and Technology at 3 o'clock on AM 590, The Answer. Hello and welcome back to Exploited Crimes and Technology. This is Opal Singleton. I come to you every Saturday afternoon at 3 o'clock on AM 590, The Answer. I have done quite a bit of looking at this issue. It's interesting how different people of different age groups look at this. But one of the first things that happens when a teenager especially, but it's true of an adult too, one of the first things that happen, let's say you're in a relationship with someone, or at least you think you are, and you take those photos and you break up. A lot of times one of the partners is very hurt, and they take those photos and they make the most out of them. They use them for control. They use them for blackmail. They use them to insult you and humiliate you. They use them to try to get even with you, especially if they're hurt. But if they go out online, they're especially dangerous. So one of the things that I read here is a young man says, so I got into trouble with my parents for sending and getting nudes. I can't get my phone back till I'm 18. I'm 16 now. So I know what I did was bad, but what can I do? You know, I'm going to read you some of the people that responded on this, but I give this kid credit, because he's starting to show some maturity. I know what I did was bad. But there is a line after that that I think really states how sextortion works. What can I do? And that is the real problem. We are putting our young people who do not have adult reasoning, adult judgment in an environment that once they make one simple little act, it is there forever. And this is unique. You know, we all did stuff when we were kids. I was no different. You know, different kids tried different things. All kinds of kids over the years and years and years, hundreds and thousands of years, did stuff. They experimented. I'll show you mine if you show me yours. And I bet you're grinning over there as you're driving, okay? But when you show me mine and I'll show you yours on the internet, it is there forever, and you can't get it back. I think the first thing that is important here is to have a conversation as a parent, even long before they're 16, to explain that to them, that I hope you never do. That if you have to do something like that, don't send a photo, because photos are forever. You see, what happens with photos is they can be intercepted. Even if they're only going to the person you think you love, they can be intercepted. With the World Wide Web now, there is a world full of pedophiles, and they meet out there on the internet, and they form these large-scale communities, and they do different kinds of deals to trick our kids into sending photos. And every one of those photos, every one of those kids think they're sending it to somebody who's hot, who's gorgeous, who's going to love them. When I go into schools, I show them pictures of pedophile after pedophile after pedophile. Every one of the kids that fell for that, and many of these pedophiles have over 10,000 victims, they all thought they were going to look like some gorgeous hunk or some beautiful little girl that they could fall in love with. And instead it's some nasty 56-year-old pedophile from right down the street, or maybe halfway around the world. This is why my book is called World Without Borders. Many of these pedophiles are setting out in a cabin in Wyoming, and they're trying to trick your child over here in Rialto. Okay, and they do. And so the first thing that I think is important, that if you're going to give your child a phone, first of all, I would never give a child a phone if you haven't had the sex talk, because if they're too young for a sex talk, they're too young for a phone. They need to know what pedophilia is. Kids are literally, they're capable of understanding this technology. They're not capable of understanding why some nasty old guy or even woman, there are women child pornographers, wants your naked photo and where it's going to go when you hit send. Because if they're part of one of these networks, they just found one out of South Korea that had a whole lot of U.S. people in it and a whole lot here in the Inland Empire and had over 1 million paid subscribers. Think about that. I want you to explain to your child, first of all, what pedophilia is. Because if they're going to have a phone, I'd rather have them hear about it than experience it. And then they need to know where that photo is going to go when they hit send. Because if they get caught up in one of those rings, your child's naked photo can end up to 1 million people before you can ever get up in the morning. It will go around the world over and over and over again, and you will never get that photo back. So the first thing you need to do is explain to your child how the internet works. And then explain to them that, they're going to make mistakes. This generation is going to make more mistakes and pay a higher price than any generation that has ever lived. But it needs to be a relationship, mom and dad. You cannot just sit there and wag your finger and say, when I was a kid, blah, 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 blah. They don't care. You have to grow up and remove the veil of denial and start to understand whatever apps your kid has, you have. And you have that hard talk with them. If they're 9 years old and you think they have a phone, you better have a hard talk with them. Because if they're 9, they don't understand intercourse, adult intercourse, and what is supposed to mean. And what they're going to learn is the hard things of what they're going to experience. And they're going to pay a huge price, and they will experience the same kind of shame. I'm very proud of this young man who's saying this. I know what I did was bad. What can I do? A parent who's smart could sit down with them and say, thank you. Thank you for admitting that you made a mistake. You did make a mistake, and it is going to pay a very high price that you're going to have to pay. But that doesn't mean I reject you. I don't think any less of you. In fact, I'm going to stand by you, and we're going to help you work through it, because I think you're more mature than you were when you did this, and I believe you'd never do it again. And so we're going to start to understand. We're going to Google sextortion and how it works. We're going to Google blackmail online blackmail. We're going to Google the dark net and how pedophilias work, because I should have done that before I gave you a phone, because I think I apparently didn't make it clear what the price you pay when you send that naked photo. One of the things I share with kids is there are long-term prices and there are short-term prices. We had a case here in the Inland Empire. Girl was 17 or 18. She sent a naked photo. The guy started to blackmail her, wanted more. She blocked him. And then suddenly she got that naked photo from somebody she'd never heard of. And she was anxious to get it back. You see, she's unable to visualize that he's only one of probably 300,000, 400,000, 500,000 people that now have it. And this guy gave her a bill of goods and said, hey, baby, I can help you get that back. And I'll have to charge you, but I'll help you get it back because, this is really bad. Meet up with me. And she met up with him, and she ended up being exploited. And what she was not able to understand is the guy she blocked is the same guy who's going to help her get it back. You see, when you meet up, 58% of teenagers who send a naked photo will go out and meet up with their pedophile to negotiate it back, and they end up paying a terrible price. But there's something else that happens here. Something that's done in a fit of hormones, a fit of, lapsed values, a fit of wanting to be loved and admired, a fit of thinking it's really cool or funny or everybody is doing it. But what is happening is when it all goes bad, it changes your self-worth. It changes your pride in yourself. I often share with kids and teenagers when I talk to them, every time you do what's right instead of what's easy, you get character. And that's how you get strong. And every time you take a chance, and even if you're not being blackmailed, you know it's out there, and you will know it forever. It's like having an abortion. I hear people who had abortions, and they say, I wish I knew then what I know now. I wouldn't have done it. I wouldn't have given away my child. And I hear the same thing with that naked photo. If I knew then what I knew now, I wouldn't have done it. If I could just take it back. But with the internet, there are no givebacks. There's no way to reverse it. And it will change your self-worth, your perception of yourself. As you know, for the rest of your life, you may encounter someone who's seen that photo. And what if it's your fiance's husband or mother or father? Or what if it's your new lover? How will that be? My name is Opal Singleton and Exploited Crimes and Technology. Stay with me. I'll be right back.
Real estate sales in the Inland Empire are really hot. Sellers and buyers recognize that these low interest rates will not last. Sean and Colleen at Caldwell Banker Armstrong Properties in Riverside are proud to sponsor this show. They are the best in the Inland Empire. They're fair, honest, creative, and they care about you and your situation. If you're in the market to buy or sell a home, call Sean and Colleen at 951-529-4066.
Hello, this is Opal Singleton of Exploited Crimes and Technology. Hey, there are many good restaurants in the Inland Empire, but really great restaurants are hard to find. Let me tell you about the Toasted Barrel in Corona. It's a trendy, upscale steakhouse with great pasta and seafood. It's a fantastic choice for birthdays and anniversaries or just that special night out with your loved one and friends. Inland Empire magazine has awarded them Best Restaurant and Brunch for the past 3 years. The owners, Ed and Shirley, are friendly and attentive to your needs. If you're a prime rib connoisseur, this place is for you. Go ahead and try it out. The Toasted Barrel, located at 1300 El Sobrante Road in Corona. Or Google them at Toasted Barrel to make reservations. I guarantee you, you're going to love it. Be sure and tell Ed and Shirley that Opal sent you. It will be a night you'll never forget.
Societal Shift, A World Without Borders and a Home Without Walls. This is the most important book you will read this year, especially if you have children or grandchildren. We are living at the most important time in all of history. In 2020, the entire world will be connected by internet, more than 6 billion people coming together. Technology will provide many great advantages for our kids, but a world without borders for our kids is also a world without borders for pimps, predators, pedophiles, cartels, and organized crime. It is a home without walls because 87% of the kids sleep with their phone. It is the greatest societal experiment of all time. Our kids are technology geniuses, and their parents are technophobic. Some are techno-impotent. New apps come with no warnings on how a predator will use them against our kids. Advancing technologies like encrypted messaging, vaporware, artificial intelligence, cryptocurrency, and the dark net will challenge law enforcement, teachers, and parents to keep kids safe. Recent research states that 9,000 kids a day are being blackmailed with a naked photo, and 58% will meet their predator. It is indeed a societal shift, and one in which most parents are unprepared. If you are a parent or grandparent, teacher, counselor, or social worker, please take time to read Societal Shift. Only $18.99 plus $6 shipping. Order today at millionkids.org. That's millionkids, millionkids.org. It'll be the greatest gift you can give your family and yourself. Order Societal Shift today. Million Kids takes checks and credit cards. Opal Singleton, the author, will personally sign the book and send it to you. Again, go to millionkids.org and order Societal Shift today. Join Million Kids. Keep our kids safe from predators.
AM 590, The Answer.
Hello and welcome back. This is Opal Singleton, Exploited Crimes and Technology. My producer and I were just talking about how sad all this is. It is sad, but the truth is it doesn't have to be sad, because what I know about kids is they want to be leaders and they don't want to be violated They don't want to be trapped. They want to take the high road most of the time. Yeah, they're going to experiment. You and I did too. I get it. But I want our young people to know the truth. And that is why Million Kids does the work that it does. We go out to schools back when they had schools. I'm really looking forward to some of them coming back again. And we share with them how to be leaders on the internet. And that is really important. We share with kids, if you send that photo out there, that photo is out there forever. You know, you want to go in the military, they are going to do a social media check. You want to get into some college that you think is hot and play on the football team or maybe be a cheerleader. They're going to run your social media profile. They are. It is how it works. You know, someday you're going to meet the love of your life. And what if that person sees that you have these naked photos out there over and over? Or even crazier, their mom and dad, your in-laws, your future in-laws. But there is something even more important, and that is all about your personal self-worth, your values in a relationship. One of the things that I saw here is, and when I was reading this, is that this teenager wrote, and I was really, really proud of this teen. She says, let me see if I can get my hands on it here. She says that she knew it was wrong, but she decided, here it is, I'm a teenager. It's a critical point in my life, but I'm not an expert on this. I'm expressing my feelings as a teenager. I'm proud of her, okay? You can sense the maturity in this young lady. I can understand all the temptations and sensation of being a teenager, especially when you're a young teenager. Maybe it's the puberty that affects you. Your body starts changing, and most of the time you love the changes. You love having, my body is changing and it's looking beautiful. I'm growing up and I look good. And it's nice to see myself in the mirror wearing a bra and some sexy underpannings. And I'm tempted to show it to others, to show off who I am. But my values stop me. In my case, moral and religious values succeeded in stopping me. I just love that response. I looked at, I don't know, multiple dozens of kids that say why they've done it or they haven't done it. But in the bottom line is that sex is part of a healthy relationship when it's done with honesty and commitment and maturity and with respect for each other. And it is getting harder in our society to see sex that way. I see it out there when it's such a beautiful thing, and I see it being cheapened. I see it being cheapened at halftime shows of Super Bowls when beautiful women who sing and dance and are very talented then reduce themselves to dry humping. And I look at that and I think, all the 7 and 8 and 9-year-old girls who are emulating that, thinking it's going to make them more valuable. You see, the reason why these kids do that is they want to be loved. They want to be acknowledged. They want to succeed. The way you succeed as a young person is having good values. And I think that subject, that discussion between parents is the first discussion you ought to have even before you ever get to social media. Because when you go on the World Wide Web, you are displaying your character or lack thereof. You are on parade for the entire world to see. And you can be a beautiful person who says, you know what? I don't have to take my clothes off to impress you. I don't have to send that selfie in order for you to go out with me. Because if that's one of your requirements, you're not good enough for me. It's that simple. I love working with teenagers and I love talking to kids at school. I can tell you that most of the kids I meet are great kids. They want to be leaders. They want to take the high road. They want to do what's right. They want to save the earth and save the whales, and they want to do what's healthy and responsible. They make good and valuable choices. Here's the problem. This is the first generation where the kids know more than the parents when it comes to technology. And so many kids are having to find their own way because so many parents put on the blinders, that veil of denial with technology. It is up to us to educate our kids about how the internet is made and where naked photos go when you hit send, and why you don't want to make that naked photo, number one. And number two, you never want it on the World Wide Web. The minute that photo leaves your hand, you lose all freedom for the rest of your life. You'll never know all the places it goes and all the people that see it, okay? You'll never know what all those people really thought of you, which is not what you wanted them to think about you. But even more, you will always have self-doubt. What if? What if somebody sees it? What if it gets in the wrong hands? How do I get it back? You do not get it back. Folks, Million Kids is an organization. Our motto is keeping kids safe from predators. We spend a lot of hours. The reason why I'm taking your valuable time on a Saturday afternoon is so that your family won't have to go through this kind of heartache, your children and your grandchildren. We go out and we educate. We've educated more than 400,000 people now. And I am very, very grateful to people that help subsidize this. People like BMW of Riverside that sponsor this show. And we have a new sponsor you'll be hearing about before long, of that commercial service, I think it is, out of Yucaipa, a cleaning organization. And I'm very grateful. I'm very grateful to Colleen Horgan at Armstrong Realty, Coldwell Banker, who donates to this organization. And also to Doris Anderson over at Remax Realty out of Upland. People that send us money, that help us. Otis Refrigeration, thank you, out of Yucaipa. Excellent people. There are so many people that want to make this work. We are coming out with a documentary. It is in the filming process. They're actually down in Florida about that hurricane doing some of that filming. They'll be out here at the end of the year. And we hope to have it come out the first of the spring of next year. For those of you that helped us get us off the ground, I appreciate you. Now we're going to need money for distribution, for marketing, for telling the story, to get it in. I appreciate Converge One working with us out of Ontario that does so much online training. And so we're going to need each and every one of you to help us keep going out there doing this work, sharing about it, teaching your kids how to be proud leaders and to take the high road and to show their younger brothers and sisters. I was so proud of one young girl came up to me at school and she said, I'm scared to death for my 10-year-old sister. My folks gave her a phone and she's on TikTok and they let her do everything and they don't understand. And I said, you have a wonderful opportunity to be a leader. You see, I believe how we teach this generation of young people to use technology with respect and responsibility in a way that honors God and glorifies God and honors themselves and honors others is the greatest challenge of this generation. This is the hardest generation in the world to ever be a parent of. But this generation will have more opportunity and more danger than any generation in the world and ever before them. This generation will also have more information than any generation, but less truth. They need you, mom and dad. They need you, grandma and grandpa, even if you don't understand technology. You understand values. You understand what it means to be proud of who you are and what you're doing. If you can't be proud of who you are and what you're doing, you darn well better not be doing it. Thank you, Mom, for teaching me that. Okay, I'm not sure I learned it all the right first time, But our kids need to hear old-fashioned values. And they need to hear, I love you, I believe in you, I'm proud of you, and I'm here for you. And you are going to be a leader in a world without borders. I love you. I am so proud for each and every one of you. Put your arms around your family this week. Give them a big hug. Tell your spouse you love them and that you're proud of them, and take your kids and take them out in the world and look at the sunset. God loves you too. You folks have a great weekend. Hello, this is Opal Singleton of Exploited Crimes and Technology, coming to you every Saturday afternoon at 3 o'clock on AM 590, The Answer. Hey, I want to tell you about one of my heroes, Doris Anderson. She's a realtor over at Remax Realty in Upland. Her phone number, 951-733-8899. Doris has pledged $500 from every house she closes. There's a woman who supports an important cause.